Another big story tonight, a huge scare at the legendary Coney Island Cyclone. The historic coaster reopened for the season just this morning and offered free admission for the first 100 riders. However, those thrill seekers got more than they bargained for when that coaster got stuck, and those riders had to be rescued. Prince 11's McGee Hickey is on the scene right now with more tonight. Hi there, McGee.
It was the ride of their lives for the first 10 Cyclone lovers, some who'd been waiting since 8:30 the night before, hoping to be the first in line on opening day. And then all of a sudden, the Cyclone stalled.
It just jerked and stopped where it was because there's a safety mechanism in there. And all of a sudden the crew came up, said, we're going to get you down. They started from the back, worked their way up to the front.
Video posted on AM New York's Facebook page shows riders slowly and oh so carefully walking down those steep steps. But for some, it was the 20-minute wait way up high on a chilly morning that was most difficult.
Mr. G, I love you, but I really could have used some warmer weather up there because we have cyclone signals now.
Ironically, the annual Blessing of the Rides ribbon-cutting ceremony to mark the opening of Coney Island attractions for the season had just taken place an hour and 20 minutes earlier at 10:30 a.m. Luna Park officials called it a glitch on this 88-year-old roller coaster. They call it a small, isolated problem involving the belt.
People were scared, but they were champions. These people have been in love with the Cyclone for years and years. So this doesn't faze them. They're like, I've been riding this for 30 years. This is not going to stop me from riding it again.
And sure enough, many of these die-hard Cyclone riders got right back online.
I still love the ride. Not mad. It was an experience of a lifetime. I'm going back on.
Workers here at Luna Park had expected to have the Cyclone up and running by mid-afternoon, but as you can see, clearly no movement yet for the world-famous 88-year-old roller coaster. From Coney Island, McGee Hickey, Pix 11 News. Back to you, Heidi.
Well, quite an opening day, I'd say. Okay, thank you, McGee. A reminder for...
Well, there was music and there were crowds as Coney Island kicked off the start of its season with the opening of Luna Park. But then something went wrong, giving thrill seekers a real fright. The world-famous Cyclone got stuck on its very first run. News 4's Lloyd Bordenero was there and spoke to riders about this hair-raising experience.
I'm going up. I'm still going up. I was like looking. I was like, and then it just stopped.
Excitement turned to panic for David Zubin when the world-famous Cyclone got stuck on its first go of the season.
No, this cannot be happening. I've been riding this thing every year since 2009, opening day. This is the first time this happened to me.
The Cyclone suddenly stopped just moments before the first drop. Park officials had to rescue each rider, walking them down the Coney Island roller coaster one person at a time.
What was it like walking down?
It was terrifying because I was up there and I was like, everything was spinning and I didn't know what to do.
But the men up there reassured us and made us feel safe, and they made us look at the view. And I'm scared of heights, but with their help, I made it down.
Luna Park kicked off the season earlier in the day with its annual tradition, first with the Blessing of the Rides, and then with the egg cream christening at the Cyclone. Where test rides went off without a hitch.
It went absolutely fine. This is opening day. Unfortunately these things happen, but we're going to get it back up and running in a couple more hours.
Officials shut down the ride here for inspection, and those who waited here in line for hours had to wait a little longer. But the glitch won't keep many of these thrill seekers away for long.
Our family has been riding the Cyclone since 1939, and it's not going to stop here. As soon as the ride's back up and running again, we'll be up there.
In Coney Island, Lloyd Bordenero, News 4, New York.
Well, a member of the... Over to you.
Well, it was supposed to be a thrilling ride turned into a major dud at Coney Island. The famous Cyclone roller coaster, packed with passengers for the first ride of the season, gets stuck near the top.
It might not have been the warmest or busiest opening day at Luna Park on Coney Island, but people still showed up to ride the ride.
Today's beautiful.
One rider in particular.
My family has been riding the Cyclone since 1939.
Fans of the old wooden roller coaster coaster lined up early Sunday morning to claim the first adrenaline rush of the season.
We made the trip in at 4 o'clock in the morning to be on the first ride.
But just a few minutes in, the amusement came to a stop.
Once we got about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way up, we knew that there was something wrong.
The Cyclone stopped on the tracks just before the first big drop. This is cell phone video of the coaster. Riders say they stayed in their seats for 15 minutes until park staff began to direct them. Each person had to walk down the tracks.
I was a little shaky, but I'm not really afraid of heights.
Despite what could have been a scary malfunction,
Adventurous? Absolutely adventurous.
these riders say they'll be back once it's up and running.
I've been riding this thing since I was 9, you know. I'm going to keep riding it until the day I die.
Those who were on the ride were given vouchers to come back another day. It's unclear when the coaster will be up and running again. Mary, back to you.
Alex, great.
Some really frightening moments at Coney Island opening day today as the world-famous cyclone malfunctions, leaving riders stuck. The first 100 riders were let on for free, and it was during that first run of the iconic roller coaster that all of them got stuck at the top of the track. At least 24 riders had to be evacuated when the coaster got stuck at around 11:45 this morning. That was right after the park's opening ceremony. No injuries were reported. Riders were then escorted down the tracks one at a time by a park worker.
The ride's back up and running again?
We will be right back on that
there. Just a glitch. Absolutely. Just a hiccup.
Never here I've done this, but this was insane.
It was terrifying because I was up there and I was like, everything was spinning and I didn't know what to do.
Luna Park officials are calling this an isolated incident that is being quickly resolved. They say the ride will reopen after a proper inspection.
Hold on to your hats. With winds of up to 50 miles an hour blowing through the city streets, the buildings department is urging New Yorkers to be aware and be prepared. The department says winds at these speeds can send unsecured objects flying. It also says it will be performing random inspections of construction sites around the 5 boroughs, and it will penalize any that aren't safely secured. The department is urging New Yorkers to call 311 to report any non-compliant condition and call 911 to report emergencies at construction sites or buildings. The world-famous Cyclone is back up and running again in Coney Island after some technical difficulties during opening weekend. Dozens of riders were stranded 80 feet above the ground last Sunday when the roller coaster abruptly stopped during its first ride of the season. A belt in the engine was replaced and things are back to normal. One woman who got stuck last week says she didn't hesitate to go back for another ride.
Cyclone is a very fun coaster. I've been riding it for 3 years now, and I'm not going to stop riding it just because of one little mishap.
Cyclone is always safe. You know, safety is our #1 priority, and we just wanted to really just make sure that everything was back up and running for today and for the remainder of the season.
For more information on the Cyclone and other attractions at Luna Park, visit lunaparknyc.com.
The season got off to a rough start for thrill seekers riding Coney Island's famed Cyclone roller coaster. It got stuck during its first run of the year last Sunday. Luna Park officials spent the week working out the kinks and reopened the ride today. Some people who got stuck on the Cyclone last weekend came back. They wanted to try it again. They admitted to being just a little nervous.
We've been riding the Cyclone for years. Our grandparents rode it. Our family's been on the coaster since 1939. So we're continuing a tradition.
This young lady right here in the front seat was also determined to ride the Cyclone. She says it is the 72nd different coaster she's been on in her short life.
Yeah, she's doing pretty good. Well, a major turnout in
Coney Island's legendary roller coaster back on track after a rough opening weekend. The Cyclone ran without a hitch today. During its seasonal debut, however, the 87-year-old coaster suddenly stopped, forcing the riders to walk down the tracks. Several of the passengers that got stuck last Sunday were first in line to finish that ride today.
We want to come out here this Saturday, so I can start calling everybody up. And I'm here to ride the Cyclone to show the world that this is a safe ride.
I was actually thinking for a moment that we were going to get stuck up there, but when I realized we were going to jump, it was
Regulators say a new belt was installed in the cyclone following last weekend's mishap.
Well, tonight is the second night.
A minor mechanical issue caused a Disneyland roller coaster to shut down for an hour yesterday. Among those stuck was former Major League pitcher Jamie Moyer. Moyer tweeted photos of himself stuck on California Screamin'. He tweeted, "Stuck on California Screamin' at Disneyland. Not sure what is more difficult, pitching in a Major League game or this." And there were roller coaster problems in our area, too. Riders were forced to walk down Coney Island's Cyclone after it got stuck last weekend on its very first ride of the season. But CBS 2's Steve Langford reports last week's scare didn't keep riders away today.
Back on track, the thrill machine once again delivering on a need for speed today. The ups and downs of the roller coaster especially clear to Cyclone diehards who endured this unplanned stop at the top last weekend, only to return for smooth sailing this weekend.
I was a little nervous getting on.
Diana Elsener, whose family has been riding the Cyclone, she says, since the late 1930s, is back after last week's heart-stopping halt on high.
Once we got about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way up, we knew that there was something wrong.
Elsener, among the Cyclone riders last week who had to endure a daunting descent on foot to safety, says she spent Monday in the hospital with leg pains, but family tradition dictated, nevertheless, a return this weekend.
Just as fun as it ever was.
Made it over the hill, I was going, we made it, we made it.
In spite of, or perhaps because of, last week's scary stop, Adam Myers got to Coney Island just after midnight for take 2 at a run.
It was definitely worth the wait. It's still amazing. It's still great.
The young man getting the unconditional green light to return here from his mother.
I said, enjoy, have a good time.
After close to 90 years of thrills and chills, apparently nothing stops the Cyclone. Steve Langford, CBS 2 News.
But the company that operates the Cyclone says last week's rescue from the summit of the roller coaster was the result of a transmission belt that slipped. In case you missed it, here is a